It was
Okay.
insane.
Okay, I don't have my phone today. Where is it? It's not on the desk where I need it to be. It is 5:30, and again, thank you all for being here early. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're kind of mixing up the agenda a little bit. We're going to do a roll call and adopt the agenda, and then we're going to skip the audit and then go down to the reports, and that way folks can go to the concert if they so desire and go from there. All right, so roll call is Tanya.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Jeremiah.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
Lori.
Here.
Tom. Chuck.
Here.
And Linda is here. I missed somebody. Okay. Are there any additions to the agenda, Mr. Ludwigson?
We add resolution establishing combined polling places for multiple precincts. That is a every year one, we just didn't have it on the original agenda. And then under consent agenda, and that would be like 6.5. Consent agenda to personnel, add Esther Schwartzentruber, going for a part-time to full-time paraprofessional beginning January 1st, 2026. And Alexis Kraska going from full-time to part-time paraprofessional beginning January 1st, 2026. Basically kind of swapping times there.
I have one addition I would like on there as well. We need to discuss and take action on the superintendent contract for the next 3 years. So, and I would need a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Linda, I have a question.
Yep.
What, was there a committee formed to produce a contract? That's one.
He has a contract. We gave him one. That's why he's working this year.
Yes.
So we're just renewing
I see what you're
that
saying.
contract. Otherwise, it goes the same. We didn't negotiate any changes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got, any discussion on the agenda? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna skip the audit, she's not here anyway. Ooh, good. We're gonna go into the consent agenda then. I need a motion to accept, or are there any questions on the consent?
I moved to accept the consent agenda.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, done. We're gonna scoot right into the reports. We have students tonight, yay! Step up to the podium.
Good evening, I'm Kaden Schultz,
I'm Chevelise Dominguez.
and we're here to tell you about the events that have been happening at the high school. First, we went to Meadows Place to sing carols and decorate for Christmas.
And Friday we are helping second graders build gingerbread houses.
At the high school, we have been having a competition of decorating our doors and our advisors' doors.
And we have dress up days that correspond to the elementary.
We will be planning snow days activities and dress up days and lunch games tomorrow at our meeting.
Snow days will be January 26th through the 30th. We will have mini lunch games and afternoon activities that are a lot of fun for the students. To finish off the week, we will have a fun day picking and all-day activity.
Cool, very
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are busy, 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 busy. Are there any guests? Did you look?
Yeah, there was none.
No guests, all right. Thanks, guys. Drive careful on the way home.
Thank you.
Any questions for our AD? Any comments for the AD?
Kelsey, tomorrow night, the soup and sandwich deal, what time does that run?
4:30 to 7.
Okay, thank you.
And then there will be a bake sale, and boys are doing pop shot at halftime and a 50-50 raffle.
Is this money that you're raising used for anything in particular, or just to kind of help the?
It's going straight into the girls' and boys' basketball fundraising accounts.
Okay.
And then whatever the coaches kind of use that for like extra stuff throughout the year. So I'm not sure right now what they'll use it for.
Did you write a grant?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Form, was it B?
Yep.
B was approved, that verification, I think it's 3,500 we'll get back, because so many schools applied for it. And then Form A was also, everybody in the state was approved for Form A, so. I'm not sure what money amount will come back or not, but
So that's to say that our MS
HSL, yeah,
money that we pay for dues is gonna come back to us a little bit.
a little bit, but yeah.
All right, great. Thank you for doing that. Community Ed. Any questions for Mr. Evenson?
Brad, I could throw something at you here quick. When we get federal funding, we have to consult with other area schools. Does that mean if they are on board, that we actually give them some of the funding?
Yes, it's a state law, it's a law, federal law. So what happens is we will get an amount and it's adjusted for pupil units within our district. And because it's within the district, they have rights to some of that money. So what happens is there's a formula that's used to decide exactly how much money they have as what it depends on what their population is at the school. And then we also we're in charge of actually delivering those services also. So if they ask for the money, if they agree to do that, they have to write goals to go with that, but they actually get a chunk of our Title I money. And it's not just Title I, it's Title I, Title II, and Title III.
Why does St. John's all
They
go
turn
opt
it off, they turn it down.
I mean, isn't it
The
a
reason
no-brainer that?
Well, the issue that they have with it is, they don't want to, there's been some issues with them not wanting to have to follow a schedule for us to service them. So they would rather.
Just opt out of it.
Yep, and their money is very, very tiny because they're the one that's so small.
This does not apply to home schools.
No, it's private schools that have a charter, so they have to be filed with the state of Minnesota.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for Mr. Evenson? Anything else for Mr. Evenson? Okey dokey. Technology. Any questions for Mitchell here?
Does the change in Skyward mean parents will have to change any of their login information?
Yes.
Okay,
They will not have to change login information,
Okay.
no.
but it'll be different screens and,
It'll look nicer,
okay.
more options.
Anything else for Mitch? Anything else for Mitch? Wow, good. Business manager, Miss Sherry. Anything, questions for the business manager? There was a nice article that she put in, explained a lot of things, I think, on the different funds we have, so. Any further questions for Sherry? Okay, principal, let's have it. We all done with Christmas concerts? Not quite.
Tonight's the last one.
We're gonna pack boxes tomorrow night. Eggs.
Yes, we are.
No snow.
No snow.
Any other questions for the principals? Oh boy. You're good tonight. Board members, anybody go anywhere? Go to any workshops? Last time we forgot to ask, I know Chuck, you went to MREA last time.
I did.
Was it good?
That was a month ago, I forgot.
I know. I remembered to ask you tonight.
But thanks for asking.
Hmm.
No, it's a good conference. I actually, I like the smallness of it, the ruralness of it. I think it's actually probably better served than in SBA, but
I think it was, yes, I think, I enjoyed the conference, I wish that they would give you a map or something where you're going. 'Cause if it wouldn't have been for staff, I would have never found anything. Cause it's so spread out, but, no, it was a good conference, and definitely worth the time to go and.
Any place else anybody went? Superintendent, Dan?
I have my report there, there's some questions, I have the goals on there, the attendance, the board minute, which delves a little bit into taxes. There you go. Go ahead.
Did you have any requests other than that one on taxes? The one that had the big jump, and was there anything else came to you? Yes, it was with the.
Oh, no, and in the truth and taxation stuff, you'll see that PMA provides a tool so you can see where taxes compare to our neighboring districts. And what's really important when you get your tax statement is take a look at if your assessment changed or if your property classification changed. Because the school district, for most people, the percentage that their taxes increase was less than the value that their home increased by. So after I got that one question, I sent the same answer that I shared with you guys as a board member. I really haven't heard too much.
The strategic planning survey, how long is that open yet?
We're going to talk about it as an admin team. It's been open since, I believe, after Thanksgiving. And we've been sending out parent square alerts. And then we've had little QR codes set out at events. And we have 70 total responses. I didn't have, I wasn't able to get the Spanish ones translated, but it is the same exact survey. And actually really appreciate those who responded to it, as they seem to be very thankful for the services the schools provide, so appreciate their input. And the questions we developed in our leadership team, and we went through each of the strategic plan initiatives of that, like pride, elevate, dedication to learning for all, and developing quality relationships, and we developed questions for each of them, so we developed a baseline for that.
Any other questions or comments for Daniel?
Since Patty is in the audience now, just make sure that I get her to pick. Later, I'll talk about the MLL. And there's this nifty little graphic that, let's see, that Patty produced. Okay. And I handed out a paper copy of it. And she did a really good job of compiling this information. The reason this says moved and plus is that that number would be that much larger if everybody had stayed put, so you can see how many people were moving. And she has the grade levels and how many students from ESL are in each grade level and how that has been developing. And then when we had St. Mary started, and we started servicing early childhood. And then like the total numbers over here. Yeah, nice little graphic there. Patty, was there anything you wanted to say on this in case, like, something would call your attention away?
Not at this time. If board members ever have any questions, you have my email and my phone number. You can always call or stop by too if you're wanting any further information about our program and the students.
She also provided a little bit of historical information on the side here. She did a very good job of compiling that, so. Yeah, I'll talk more about that later, but that's any questions on that.
Okay, very good. Are there any board highlights we want to mention tonight, board members? Band concert was phenomenal, not because I got grandkids. It was very good. Anything else? Honor Society ceremony was very nice. Lots of folks there too, that was good. Anything else you guys been to?
Oh, you're such a quiet group.
We got 10 minutes maybe. Let's talk about the unfinished business with the school calendar.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, to be clear, not deciding anything, I just put some calendars together to facilitate discussion. And so some of the major ones that we gathered staff feedback on was, one was if in the fall conference, and it seemed to be a lot of staff felt like we should either move that up or keep it where it was. That if we did like an evening of conferences followed by like a morning, and that's the way that's set up. If that would provide more time for those parents that have late shifts and things like that. And so we're hoping to maybe make it easier for parents that work around their work schedule if that was also available. This one, you'll see, and not all the calendars have this, but like a professional development day after that. Parent-teacher conference, it gets to be a long night, so pairing it with that could be good. This calendar happens to have a data retreat at the end of it. This one happens to have 2 days. The reason it's 2 or 3 was just to give people a day off before that, if we were even to go this way. But if you go slightly into June, then Christmas break can be longer. But one of the big things we talked about as admin team was having more professional development days. And the reason for that would be to have more time for collaborative work, for like vertical planning, which would be to get teachers together and talk about like, I'm in 2nd grade, we're teaching this math standard, you're in 3rd grade, you're teaching, where do you pick up off, and also the other way. And have a more formalized and robust staff development system. And if we had regular professional development days, we would work with our professional development committee and structure it around that available time. Since we have extra days built in the calendar, we have some wiggle room to do that. And so the only reason it's on the schedule tonight is to get feedback, as we're still getting feedback from the professional development committee and admin team for recommendations. That's what it says in the top, for discussion purposes only.
So on all of them, from what I saw, we're starting the week before Labor Day, correct? Because the Labor Day is late next
Yeah.
year, right?
Yeah, it's because Labor Day is late and you're allowed to start on the 1st of August.
Okay. September.
So it's, what,
You said
Oh,
August.
sorry.
I'm not counting that early.
Otherwise, I have to apply for
I was thinking that, I wasn't gonna say it out loud.
Okay, the other thing I kind of like is, I know parents too, that going to school on the 23rd or not going to school on the 23rd is a discussion point a lot of times, of December.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, I have to put the day somewhere else. At least if the contract days stay the numbers they are.
Yeah.
But one thing I like about adding professional development days is that I know people frequently talk about having the time to meet and things like that. And then, versus dropping days, you actually reserve some days specifically for that purpose. And I've developed systems in other schools where we met regularly with PD, and it becomes a pretty crucial part of school improvement. Because, a lot of times you're running so fast on the hamster wheel, you never have time to stop and say like, is this the best way to do it? Any thoughts over there from the principals? We've been talking about this for a while.
I really like the evening and then the next morning conferences. We did that when I first came to Long Prairie Grade Go, and it really serviced our families well, and I think with all of our families and where they work, I think it just gives some more options. And I say that knowing that our attendance at the elementary is really good at conferences. I just think we can serve our families a lot better with that.
That's been ongoing, staff brought that up too, as well as community members, so I think it's just adjusting to what we request out. Yeah, let's try it, I think it'll be a good thing.
I know back in the day, Gray Eagle did it that way all the time. It's not a real brand new concept.
No.
And then there's the other thing for staff, that whole week in between, we have to restart the whole engine up again. Meaning, build up the tear down, it's a lot of work putting that on, secondary, turn is at the elementary too, so I think it's a win-win-win across the board.
So what did you want from us? Just
Your thoughts?
thoughts?
Do all of them have the morning after, the evening after morning?
I think all of them do, because that had like really a lot.
Because one of them is later, if I remember right. I just can't find which one
Right,
was
the
later.
third one is in November.
Yeah, because there was really a lot of support for giving that a try. And we've gotten a lot on feedback in our title programs too, that having that option. The hope is that it can be give them more flexibility for the parents and their schedules.
I think that's what we have to do. We've got to think of the parents. They're the ones that drive us nowadays.
I do want to recognize that it is more work for the secretaries, especially at the elementary, because they have to survey parents and then schedule instead of just scheduling. So I do recognize that it's more work.
Anything else? Any other ideas? You just speak up to Daniel or the principals or.
And feel free to ask people their 2 cents on it. That's part of the reason we brought it up so early, so people can chew on it. And we plan to get more feedback from the professional development committee and hopefully come back with a recommendation.
When does it have to be set in stone?
No, you can say we voted on it in January, you still can change it.
Yeah.
But it is very beneficial to athletics, for example, and other things for planning. The activities, I would say probably community ed too, I would assume, because then you know when school is. You'd be surprised, some of this stuff gets planned a whole year and a few months out in advance, so people really do appreciate having the calendar out, even if we make tweaks to it later.
Well, I hate to keep going back there, but when I did community ed, a lot of things we created were corresponding days. So all the music concerts were always, the choir concert was always this Monday in December. And that way everybody else knew it and it just went. So it is nice to have those dates kind of ahead of time. put your thinking hats on and talk to somebody when we get that far.
Yeah.
Alrighty, you ready to go on? We got 5 minutes, quick. This parent ed proposal, Lisa, I don't know if you have time to look at it. We looked at it at last board meeting. And we decided we had to have Lisa here too, so we could decide if we wanted to go ahead with that plan. So does anybody have any questions or concerns about that yet? Want to talk about, bring it up?
I think it would be a good thing to do, but I think we need a commitment that we're all gonna be there. I mean, we need to, if we're gonna spend the money to do it, we need to commit to doing it. That's my
I
feeling.
would think so too.
It was the $1,200 and then there was a monthly check with it, right?
If we use them,
But we don't have to utilize them, okay.
so. It was 1,200 and I think each one of those was $250 or something.
And how long of the part one was it? How long of a session was it?
3 hours.
3 hours?
Yep. I think the 2 of them were coming here to do a live instead of webinar.
And we did not want to utilize the monthly subscription, or we did?
That was part of the discussion to have now.
Okay.
So if we go for it, we can decide if we want
Plus then I'm assuming here's mileage that we'd have to pay them.
for that part of it, yeah. The other ones I believe are virtual, so.
The second ones, I believe, if I read this correctly, were virtual with just the board chair.
That's what I understood too. But I'm sure I could bring somebody along if I wanted to, so. I think it's pretty easy to adapt it to what we want to see.
Were you interested in those additional classes then with you and Daniel and them, or was that
I
something?
think it's just them and me.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay.
I think I'd want to go through the 3-hour one first and see what was all right. So. Any other questions, anything you saw in there that tweaked your curiosity? I do think it takes all 7 of us to make it work, if it's gonna work.
That would be something I would support, because I've talked about that already before, probably at nauseam.
When are we thinking of doing this?
I think we
Like-
decide when we want.
During the school year, during the summer? You know, just give a time frame so people know what their lives are like at that time, maybe?
Busy. I think that would be up to us.
For the 3-hour session, they come to us.
So it's up to you guys. Are you thinking we're gonna do it? Maybe that's the first place we go, is are we thinking we're going to do it? And then we should go to the when.
I'd be in favor of doing it. And as for the when, from my thought, the time frame from middle of March to middle of April, after kind of your winter sports are done, before the spring sports start, for those that have
It would probably take that long to get it all arranged anyway.
students they wanna go watch. And then we're not into the summers of
Right.
vacations and that type of thing going on too.
Are we for a motion and
I'm thinking that it should have to be a unanimous.
Right.
So if everybody's okay, then I would accept a motion if you need to.
Oh. That's who board member they.
Or do we need a motion really, or can we just do consensus on this, or?
Yeah, I guess you can do consensus. But I mean, in this situation, it's probably a tomato, because everybody.
I'm for it, but if everybody's not on board, then
Right.
I'm not for it, so how do I speak any different?
You first seek a consensus.
I'll vote for it with that condition,
We
that
can
it's
do that.
unanimous. I don't know how else to state that.
Well, you could frame the vote as, on condition this is unanimous. I don't believe there's anything wrong with adding that condition to it, as long as it's understood.
Okay, so do I have that motion? Anybody gonna make it?
I will move to go ahead with it as long as it is unanimous vote.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? And we don't have a unanimous decision, so I guess it dies. Okay, on to the next. Okay. Okay.
This is the part of the meeting that is open to the public, meaning it's a public meeting. That means you can ask me questions. So, truth in taxation, if you would hit the button. It says webinar because MREA provided the template. So this will be, so school budgets actually operate in like 3 years. So you have like, we're reconciling budgets from last year's, and then we're proposing budgets for this year, and then the levy is actually for revenue in the following year, because we like to keep it simple. We get next slide, please. So this is the agenda. I'm gonna go through it as slow or as fast as people would like. So, big picture, property classifications, factors affecting, putting it all together. Next slide. So that's why we're here. That's the big picture, kids. Next slide. So why you have a truth and taxation meeting? Law passed in 1989. You can see the Minnesota statute up there. 2 major requirements, tax statements. Counties send out their proposed tax statements. Most of you should all have received that. If you haven't, it got lost in the mail. And then we have to hold this public hearing so that public can ask comments or provide input on budgets. And this slideshow is in the board book, so if you want to go back and read the slides, I will spare you that. Next slide, please. Who sets the school levy? It's set by a state formula, so there's different levies, and some of them are based on the number of pupils or different factors, so school districts can levy so much depending on that, and then we get aid, some are mixed between aid and levy. And then there's your voter approved, like bond referendums and building referendums. Next slide. How is your property tax determined? It is not determined by the school district. That is your county assessor. They take a look at your property, and that value can go up or down. And there's actually 2 tax calculations. So we're the only government entity that has both referendum market value and net tax capacity. Net tax capacity has to do with property classifications. Thank you. This is where our funds come from, so you can see how that breaks out. Next slide. This is the inflation. So the orange dotted line is school funding, and then the blue one is inflation. So this is the one produced by Ehlers that can let you know why budgets are getting tight. And this one shows like the non-school government, how tax levies are going there versus schools. And again, you can see there's a big difference in revenue. So this is ours. If we went off the adopted budget, our revenues, our expenses, and the net, we will have a revision early in 2026. When you have the audit, you'll see that we netted a positive, roughly about $500,000. So, And the reason for that was that we had underestimated pupil units because our pupil units ended up better than expected, and so we get a lot more revenue there. And we have to make some adjustments here in construction and debt service because we've had the HVAC project and the turf. So any questions on this slide? All right, let's keep rolling then. So school year's budget, I anticipate the general education aid to be about 10.5% local levy and 89.5% state aid. To give you an idea, we get most of our funding from the state and then next local. There's really no major changes in the budget from last year as we don't have any big projects. Hopefully we take a break from that for a while. So next slide. This is what your property tax statement looks like. Where it's circled in the bottom with the yellow, that percentage is all the entities on there. So you have your county, your city, and each of them have their own truth in taxation. And if you want to figure out why you have that percentage at the bottom, you have to go to all of them. So again, check your market classification, your taxable value, and if you disagree with some of this stuff, you should watch for a statement in the spring. You go on next, there you go. So this is kind of like what the state's average division of tax rates for, this is for net tax capacity, so that is a calculation so you can see how it varies depending on the value of your property. Next slide. So this is your share. This first one is what is typical in the state to see, and we'll just keep on rolling to the next one because that is our county, prepared by Ellers. So depending on the levy, and you can see some notes on the bottom, the referendum market value, 59.6% of that revenue comes from residential homesteads. But if we're talking net tax capacity, only 34%, and you can see how that changes. Because when you're talking about referendum market value, you have the ag credit, and then some types of ag property are excluded. So that's some of the reasons it goes like that. Any questions on that? All right, ag to school. It was a law in 2017, and what it was done, why it's in place is to help make it easier for rural districts to pass levies. Qualifying properties, the state picks up 70%. So like when we did the health and safety, or when we did the abatement bonds and some of the other bonds, some of those, they're long-term facility maintenance, some of those ag properties qualified for this ag credit. So they actually received more state aid and actually would have reduced their taxes on that amount. And you can read the rest of it. So this is a tax statement that comes, like if you go on the back side of it, this is where you might be able to see if you get an ag credit. Okay, and then MREA provides a lot of these fun interactive maps, and you can find them on their website. I believe the links will work in the slide, but this one is for how much money our district gets, or well, I should say our patrons get for the ag to school, $48,000, though the median is quite a bit higher, so we do get some, but not as much as some rural districts. Thank you. LOR is local optional revenue, and this is just showing how that breaks out between levy and aid, as that depends on the property wealth, and so you can take a look at that and see how we compare. And then on our operating levy, that's all levy, there's no state aid on that. So these are just different things you can check on your tax statement to see why you might have changes in your property value. Anybody want me to go into detail on any of that? Okay, let's just keep going. Referendum picture, this is how much we get per pupil. Our district gets $458, and then the average for the districts in Minnesota is $513. And the upper end of the referendum is $1,025 per student, which is, you tend to see those amounts more in the cities area because they have such a wide tax base. And then this one is operating referendum and LOR. So our referendum market value per residential pupil unit, you can see we're actually slightly above average on this one, but pretty close to the mean. And we can keep going. Long-term facility maintenance, we have the big HVAC project and we did the track, field, and turf. Our track, field, and turf was paid for by a combination of long-term facility maintenance bonds, which is stuff we already levied for, but then we bonded and we reinvested some of that. And then we also did the capital lease levy, which was the additional levy on that last year. And then the HVAC project, thank you. Did a good job. And this slide, if you go, it'll compare our taxes to the neighboring. As you can see that we're on the lower end. I believe it's just Little Falls that has less, and you can see this is a great little graphic. It'll show how it breaks up. All right, I'll get more into this when I do the proposed levy, but these are the amounts. I show the increases from last year for a total of 7.2%. But most of that increase is largely from increase in pupil units and taxable valuation. So we're not increasing what we're asking for on any particular levy. And from our proposed statement, you'll see later that we'll be asking less for in school-age childcare. If you want more information, this is the correct person to ask why my property tax is what it is. And then my contact information and Sherry's. If you do the next slide. Questions?
It all comes down to how much we get. It's head count, isn't it?
It's mostly head count, yes. Yeah, like the increase in market value doesn't mean that the school district gets more money. It just it's used to figure out who pays for what. We're more based on number of seats, butts in seats, as they say. We're going to turn it over to the most important person here.
Okay, welcome, welcome.
Okay. I can hand those out if you want. Okay.
Fingers fast, so there we go.
Like reading?
Oh, I'm wondering.
Yeah,
you never know, right?
Next.
Oh, there's two of them?
Yep, one is a management letter and then one is the actual financial
All the letters
statements.
we had at the end to read
Yep.
through, that'll look the same after a while.
I'll give you the high points,
Perfect.
but you can read through it later at your leisure.
It's great nighttime reading, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. I'm Caroline Stutzman. I'm the partner involved in your audit, so I'd like to take a few minutes of your time tonight to go through the results of that audit. Not sure who's advancing for me. Are you doing that? Okay. You can go ahead to the next couple of yep, perfect. So the main reason you ask us to work with you is to provide an opinion on your financial statements. That opinion is housed within the independent auditor's report. Within the independent auditor's report, both management's responsibility as well as our responsibility is outlined. And management's responsibility is for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP. Really what that means is they are responsible for determining the numbers. Then our job is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatement, the audit, essentially. Reasonable assurance, not absolute, meaning we're not looking at every single transaction, or we would be in the district's hair much longer than we already are. So we are sampling, we are recalculating, we are testing things, just not every transaction. The opinion that we're providing, it's called an unmodified opinion, the highest level that you can receive, not a change from previous years, meaning we do believe those financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects as of June 30th, 2025. In addition to looking at the numbers, we also conducted our audit in accordance with government auditing standards. That requires us to consider internal controls as we go throughout our process. So one item of note there, it's one we've discussed in previous years as well. It's lack of segregation of accounting duties, just inherently present for you with the duties that overlap based on the staffing that you currently have. Very common for you for a district of your size to have that. We also conducted a single audit or an audit in accordance with uniform guidance. This is triggered when federal expenditures are over a certain threshold. The program that we tested was child nutrition this year. We did not have any findings related to that. And one final component before we dig into the financial analysis is in regards to Minnesota legal compliance. The Office of the State Auditor compiles a number of Minnesota state statutes within some checklists for us to ask questions about. We did not have any findings related to any of that either. One more. There we go. So with general education aid being the largest funding source for you as a school district in the state of Minnesota, we start off looking at the two main drivers of that aid, which is formula allowance and pupil units. So here we have formula allowance where it's been over the last 10 years, showing the percentage increases, what we know currently based on legislature for 2026, but focusing on that 2025 line and the 2% increase that was received this year. And then we have pupil units next, and we begin with your resident ADM. So these are only the students living within your district. And for 2025, resident ADM increased by 40, and all of the grade levels as they are presented here contributed to that increase. And next, if we apply the weighting factors that are at the top of this slide, as well as take into consideration open enrollment, we arrive at total PUN. This is the amount that you're paid off of from the state. So that top resident line is what we just looked at with those weighting factors applied to it. So similar story, an increase there. And then the next two lines are the impact of open enrollment. So for 2024, the net impact of those two lines is a loss of 363 compared to a loss of 408 in 2025. So net impact there is a loss of about 45. So at the end of the day, total PUN decreased by 3. So again, this is the amount that you're paid off of from the state. This chart just shows that information for the 5 years in percentage form for you to see. And then we shift gears to the actual dollars in the general fund. So we start here with total sources of revenue. Total revenue increased about 1.3%, some fluctuation between the categories as we see them presented there. Property taxes decreased, the decrease in the levy. State aids increased. The formula allowance was a component of that, as well as an increase in special education entitlement. And then other is everything else. This is where your federal dollars are. So the main change here is driven by the reduction of the COVID funding this year as that kind of got all used up. So that was the main change in that category. The next slide looks at general fund expenditures in a pie chart format here. In total, expenditures increased about 9.2%. Some of the fluctuations, if we look at them from a dollars standpoint, and then I'll circle back to the percentage standpoint. Regular instruction did increase. There was an increase in personnel costs as well as supply costs. And then special education and pupil support also increased as a result of personnel costs. And then administration increased with the addition of the interim superintendent during the year. So when we look at the percentages, many of the fluctuations are in that 1 to 2% range, pretty similar. And most of those changes are the reasons that I just touched on. Another way to look at, or another component or way to look at this data is to look at the instruction components, which would be the regular instruction, vocational instruction, and special education instruction. Those combined together are 65% of the fund's expenditures, which is in line with the guidance that's provided. Here we have a budget to actual snapshot. The first two columns are the approved budgets. The original budget is in the first column. There were some amendments made to that, with the final budget being in the second column, anticipating fund balance would decrease by right around $200,000. Actual results are in the third column, showing the increase of just over $500,000. when we look at the variance column for explanations, we see total revenue there is over budget about 677,000. If we apply a percentage to that, it's 3.9%. The majority of that being in the state sources. The main reason for that were the formula allowance increase as well as special education. Special education can really kind of swing, and it's one of those moving targets at the state quite often. So it is common to kind of see that. This is where items can also be somewhat volatile. For example, your interest income is, that's based on market value at the, on one day, June 30th, so that can fluctuate as well. So really, improved market conditions as well as conservative budgeting for those types of items is a pretty common theme as well. Total expenditures following the chart down, we see under budget there. Again, if we apply a percentage to that, it's 0.2%. So considering the size of budget that you're working with there, that's about as close as you can get, I think. So nice job there.
And on the state revenue, I know our student numbers ended up better than we anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. All right, here we pull the general fund all together. We've touched on a lot that's in the top already as far as the revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So here we see where total fund balance ended for the year, just under 8.9 million. There's a component of that that's titled non-spendable. This is for items like prepaids or if you have inventory in here. Think of it as the dollars have left the building. You can't use that for future operations, so it's separated into its own category. Then there are a number of restricted components. These are all of those state mandated funding sources where you have to spend those dollars in accordance with how you received them. That component, or all of those cumulatively together, increased by $245,000 for the year. The committed, this is more for compensated absences or severance type items. That increase, there was a new GASB standard that was implemented this year that kind of changed the valuation of all of that. So that's the reason for the increase that you're seeing there. And then that leaves you with unassigned, which is what's available for future operations without any of those earmarks or tags that we mentioned previously associated with them. So that balance decreased by about $83,000 for the year. And that's also the balance that you compare for your fund balance policy. Your fund balance policy indicates that you would strive to have an unassigned fund balance of 15% of the district's operating budget. If you run the calculation for this year, you're at 34.8% of the budget, so you are in compliance with the policy you've established for yourselves. This is yet another way to look at fund balance. So the percentage I just touched on is strictly unassigned fund balance and all expenditures. This drills a little bit deeper and looks at unrestricted fund balance as a percentage of unrestricted expenditures. This is the SOD calculation. MDE calculates it because, like I said, it gets pretty detailed to those specific expenditures, but it's a way for you to compare to some state average information and analyze over the 5 years. So seeing a slight decrease in 2025 and higher than the total for all traditional districts together. The last two slides that we have look at your special revenue funds. We start here with food service. Pretty consistent operations in 2025 compared to the previous year, less than 1% change. And at the end of the day, fund balance was at about $582,000 for the year. That's been a pretty common theme across the state as well, that fund balance is in that same sort of position. Community Service Fund is the last slide that we have. Revenues did exceed expenditures this year for the first time that we're seeing in the 5 years that we're presenting here. So fund balance increased to $142,000. Revenues increased. There was an increase in the levy as well as an allocation of a portion of the basic skills dollars over here to help with to cover the early childhood components that you have. And then expenditures decreased with a decrease in personnel costs. At the bottom of the chart here, we show the components of that fund balance. So showing the improvement in each of those categories and school readiness, mostly the improvement there with the application of those basic skills dollars helping that. I'd be happy to take any questions you might have for me.
What is our fiscal year end? Is this a snapshot of our finances on when?
On June 30th. Yep.
still, there's always this segregation of duties, and we hear that every year.
Yeah.
How do we bring that so it's not like that? Because it sounded kind of harsh this time, I thought. And I really wanted to ask the question, why, if that's because of what's happening at the state level, or?
There are some things in there, kind of just in relation to some journal entries and things like that, which really the controls are the stem of, the cause of some of those. So that's why you're probably seeing a little bit of additional items in the wording this year. I would say, it's eyes on things is really the best way to help with that. And however you see fit in trying to do that, eyes that kind of will know as well what kind of is going on. So there's always room to get, more sets of eyes on things, but you also probably won't completely reduce it to non-existent. Because I will tell you, all of the audits that I work on, majority have it in some shape or form.
I just thought it so harsh this year, and I just thought I would ask.
Yeah. There were just a few additional adjustments needed this year, so it's kind of roped into there instead of having separate findings, if that helps to identify that.
So more, probably, need more eyes on what's happening.
Well, that's always a helpful process, I would say. And it's a big task. There's a lot. So anything more I can expand on that?
Are unrestricted fund balances just what they say? They can be used for just about anything?
So unrestricted is everything but that restricted component. So it's your non-spendable, your committed balance, if you were to do internally assigned items, and then unassigned. So if you've got committed amounts, you've kind of already committed those. The non-spendable, I mentioned, that's already you've paid. So there's portions of those things that I'd say have earmarks attached to them, and then there's the unassigned portion that's left, kind of for all of the other future things.
Would you say the amount of eyes we have on our budget is similar to districts our size?
Yes. It's a challenge that is faced for districts of your size, for sure.
I have a
Our office staff
question.
has appreciated working with you. And we got information to you, and so we found that to be a pleasurable experience.
Yes. Quick to get answers, so that's always helpful in our process. Did you have?
I have a question about the community service fund.
Sure.
Does that include a transfer from the general fund to bring that?
Not over the years that we've had here. Over the 5 years we've presented, I don't recall going back. Sometimes in some districts we see that. In this case, it was that was not part of it. No.
So all in all, we get like a B plus.
I don't know if I'm a grader. A teacher by trade. You've got an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level that I can give you. And so I guess if you look at it from that perspective, it's the highest level that you can receive, if that helps.
We made the honor roll. I want to thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for coming and doing the audit.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
a big job, I know.
Absolutely. And thank you for all the preparation. We are a distraction, I know, so appreciate all of the work that goes into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to approve the audit?
I think it's later in the meeting.
Was that?
I think it's later in
Oh, yeah.
the meeting.
It's just as
Oh,
easy
yeah,
as
it
it
is. It is. We have it on the agenda later.
later. All right, thank you again. Thanks for doing the truth and taxation thing too. Drive safe on the way home.
Thank you. I will try.
New business, then we start with the donations. By your list again. Long Prairie Packing American Foods Group gave $100 to the third grade service learning project. Arc Electric gave $100 to the third grade service learning. Fitz Electric gave $100 to the third grade service learning. Evanson's gave $50 to the third grade service learning. $500 from 110 Coffee for the weight room fundraiser. American Legion Post 12 gave $100 to the PBIS. Astro Air Incorporated from Boynton Beach, Florida, gave $1,000 to the Kyle Goff Scholarship. Oh, Kylie, okay. Coburn's gave $250 to the Pro Start Culinary Arts. Country Cruisers Car Club gave a tire changer, value of $1,500, and a tire balancer, value at $1,800, and 2 air hose reels for the CTE programs. Thank you very much. Rural Felling gave, for the metal and delivery from a car club, a metal shop thing, so they were part of that. Fidelity Charitable, Angela Hayes gave $50 to the drama department. American Foods Group gave $75 to the secondary student activity day. Quinlivan and Hughes, PA, gave $100 to the secondary student activity day. Steve Neville gave $500 for the secondary student activity day. John Weiss Ford gave $50 to the secondary student activity day. Minnesota National Bank gave $50 to the secondary student activity day. Breitenfeld Group gave $75 to the secondary student activity day. Jurgen and Luan Brunkhorst gave $100 to buy gift cards for the PBIS Thunder Awards, and Jurgen and Luan Brunkhorst gave $100 to the weight room fundraisers. I will need a motion to accept those donations.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Chuck, Lori, any discussion on that?
We appreciate it.
We absolutely do appreciate that. Any further discussion or comments? Any further discussion or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you're gonna talk more about the levy?
Yep. So in the board packet, there's an executive summary, and you can see the levy totals as they go out through the years. And quick note down here, you'll see like, they'll start higher and then go lower. In that 2016, 2017, and that was a year when the state started kicking in a higher portion. So like increases in levy do not correlate one-on-one with increases in our actual revenue, because actually our levy, for example, in here I mentioned that we have a few, and largely it's called equity revenue or equalizing factor, where our portion of local versus state is higher local, but overall the increase in the amount that we're asking for is 7.2%. What I'm recommending is that we certify the levy at the maximum except for school-age childcare, which I would recommend at $20,000, as that should cover our expenses that are applicable to that. And if you look here, I've added percentages, so you can see how much the referendum market value went up, 9.1%, net tax capacity, 8.6%, market value, 8.8%. So, and the prior year levy amount next to this year's levy amount. Happy to answer any questions.
Need a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to approve the levy with the change as recommended by Superintendent Ludwigson to the school-aged care.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Jeremiah? Do we have any further discussion on that? Any questions? You have to remember that $200,000 for the school-age care was a mistake by the county. And that's what messed us up last year. Was it the year before too?
Yep.
And so we're getting that straightened out now, so that explains a lot of why that one is what it is. Any further discussion or questions? Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're on to the audit.
Yep.
Same thing there,
I'd make a motion to approve the audit for the 25
25 school district.
fiscal year.
I'll second it.
Tom, Lori and Tom. Any questions?
I'd just like to say congrats to the district office staff.
Thank you to the staff for making that all work.
It's a lot of work.
Any more questions, discussion? Any more questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, I think we're trying to sell something. Mr. Ludwigson, would you explain?
Yeah, so I've been talking to some of our different staff, mainly around, we had a tractor and a van that you guys have approved for sale. But like, what's the best way to do that? And as Jenny's been helping me collect the value on those things, but we started kicking around the idea and with the custodians that maybe it would be better to hold an auction where we have these items and then we have like welders at the high school. I spoke to Mr. Durst, said he'd have some interest in working with me and have the FFA maybe sponsor it and get a portion of it, as we do have lots of stuff that could be getting rid of. If we do go that route, it's probably more of a spring, summer thing. But maybe one big auction is better than a whole bunch of little trying to do bids online is what we were thinking.
Could you do a in-person auction or would you do it virtual?
I would suggest in person. I think that our ability to get some stuff together and address a larger amount of inventory items and possibly get some good prices on probably the more valuable items is the reason for my suggestion. And mainly what I'm looking for right now is like if this seems like a good direction, I'd probably work with our custodians on what kind of inventory we have, because you'd have to prove everything that's for sale. We have to, it's all public property, so we can't just, we have to run that by you guys as the board before any sales can happen, and we have to do it. Like what the auctioning does is give all members of the public an equal opportunity to purchase the item. And I think it would probably accomplish more in one swoop than if we try to do a bunch of online or blind bids. Is what I thought.
Would you be looking at using a auction firm to do this, I'm assuming?
Working that detail out, I don't have a specific in mind, but like organizing something with an actual auctioneer for sure.
Okay, because doing something that is online with one of those auctioneers would be very beneficial. They will do live and online, and then typically there's a buyer's premium connected with the online portion of that. The other thing is, I know there is a large consignment sale. They've been doing it every spring in Sauk Center now for the, the van, the tractor, possibly even the welders, that we may get a better rate going and better prices going to something like that.
Now that was the line of thinking, so like, if it is a direction of interest, what I would do is collect more information. It sounds like you know a little bit, so I might pick your brain.
Some of it's the world I live in.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't think I can auction here, but I think
For that surplus of turf that we left over, what do we do with it?
The extra turf that we have is down in the concession stands available for repairs and stuff. I don't believe we've sold it.
You're not aware of any, are you?
Start digging and start listing what you have.
I never even advertised this for anything, so we could never have sold it.
That's what I thought,
I mean, they approved that you could sell some of it, but I never did do anything as far as getting it out there.
I think the baseball team was asking to use, or the baseball association was asking to use some of it. So I think we're kinda waiting to determine what they were gonna use before we proceeded with sales. Is the direction I got from the meeting here.
Were they looking for like Sandfield?
I think for the batting cage,
Oh, yeah, they
Yeah.
are, like, yep.
and I don't know that we determined how much to save for repairs either.
Right. He brought that up at a meeting, he was here at a meeting and presented to the school about doing that, so. They'll use it for our school before we sell it.
You do have an auctioneer on staff. Beth Gessel,
Oh, yeah.
so just saying.
Somebody brought that name, and there's some potential to use some of that turf with the, playground, and we did compare the turf installation versus poured in place.
Sure.
And that cut off about $30,000 from that installation that I showed you guys.
That would be smart to do that.
Yep.
That would make total sense.
It's not just a shortcut to the transfer station, right? I mean, there's some stuff of value that we wanna actually get rid of.
Yeah, because we have the tractor, the van, the welder, so there's things we have of some value, which I think would be the.
We have a lot of Chromebooks.
A lot of Chromebooks, yep.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for those items, I wouldn't suggest this, but like those larger items, I think might bring people in to look at these other things.
Alright.
I don't think that you would necessarily get like a lot from selling a bunch of little things around the school, because I think most people would want, a steal. But we do have a lack of space and storage, and some of that storage is occupied by items we really don't need.
So what are you looking for from us?
If this is more of a consensus this time, because then I could go get more information, because this would probably take some planning and bringing back, like, these are items we've identified. Like, before I put the cart before the horse, really, like, there's no sense to do a whole bunch of legwork and then find out,
What do you think, board?
Probably a good idea.
I think if we've got items we need that we aren't using, we should get rid of them, because I know that there's a need for equipment at this building for unloading stuff,
Yes, there is.
so.
And there's no sense to hang on to this stuff until it's worthless.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you have permission, consensus, go ahead and get the job done, correct?
Yeah.
All right. And you're on board for adding MLL position too.
So I've modified the way I worded that on the agenda a little bit, and I spoke to Mrs. Larson, and she visited with her department. And so at this point, I mainly want to discuss it because, as I pointed out in the board book, if you went back to 2020 to now, the number has basically doubled, and our number of staffing has not doubled, as you know. But in visiting with Mrs. Larson, we do want to take some time as an administration to think about like what the best solution looks like. And so rather than immediately come to you guys and ask for an opening, which one of the main reasons I was thinking about at the time was maybe you grab a mid-year graduate, but like to put some more thought on what that might look like. For example, Mrs. Shabu was telling me that there's at least one teacher working with one of the MLL teachers on a team teaching approach this year, and maybe we need to look a little bit more, because like roughly 40% of our students have MLL, so perhaps there's some adjustments we need to how we structure things to get more bang for the buck as well. However, I do want questions, and I gave you that data and things you may wonder. And we have Mrs. Larson here in the audience, who does an excellent job.
How many staff do you have right now in each building?
At the secondary school, we have 2 full-time staff, and then I am over there for 1 period a day. And then at the elementary, we have 3 full-time ESL teachers, and I teach for approximately 0.6 hours of the day at the elementary. So roughly 5.5 teachers.
And like, one of the interesting things when we visited was that like, they actually recommend a a lower teacher to student ratio at the secondary level. And we got talking, that has something to do with how differences between elementary and secondary, so. I want to do a little bit more looking at the need, but like I love questions or things you wonder or what you would need to know. I do think this is still going to be a question I bring back to you because just the number of students that we have, that the percentage of our students that qualify as English language learners is almost 50%. So.
Would we get some funding for that, or are we getting funding for that?
Yes, we don't get them for every single MNL student, but there's a report on the enrollment report. You'll see numbers on the bottom, and so there is a certain amount of revenue that we get per student that qualifies, and that includes the St. Mary's, and there's a formula for our early childhood as well. I might check, I might have the explanation on our website as far as how that funding breaks out. But yes, we get funding to provide those services.
Are we sending a teacher right now to St. Mary's then for part of the day?
Yes, we do. I believe it's for, I could double check the schedule, for about 2.5 hours on the day. As Mr. Evenson stated, when a non-public school requests those title funds, we have to provide an equitable program, which means K through 6 at the St. Mary's school, and then an equitable amount of per grade level as we do here at the elementary.
So how that is paid for is through two sources. We get money per pupil unit for any ELL student in our district that we service. And then we also get money through Title III. Title III is specifically for kids with English with second language learner issues, so they have that. There's a little bit of money that goes with that, so they use that to pay for some interpreter and then part of the person that goes over there and some of the curriculum that is used.
And if you want some deeper information, if you go to the board minutes on our website, there's stuff on LTFM, equalization, ELL funding, which we'll talk about. There is an amount that we get, and this goes into it as far as like 1,223. So there's several calculations because there's a concentration, and then there's the part that goes through basic skills. So 1% of our basic skills is reserved for ELL funding, and we do have a cross subsidy, which I don't believe is in this article because I think that was added after I wrote this. But if you want more of a detailed explanation, you can go to our website.
And Lisa, this kind of answers your question when you asked about community ed and a fund transfer. It's not considered a fund transfer because we have so many students in that preschool level in EL. It's an allowable expenditure to use basic skills dollars to provide that service to those kids. So that's what we did, was use that basic skills money that you gain from having the EL students in the classroom to fund the little ones in that preschool area.
The last time I did the math on this, an EL student produces approximately, and this depends on classification, different things, 1,664 dollars per student. But like, there's a bigger, fuller explanation in the rest of that. So.
What's the average each teacher has? You knew I was gonna
I
ask that question,
and I was
didn't you?
gonna ask if I can have made a comment if anybody would like information, comparable numbers of student to teacher ratio. Currently, at the elementary, we have 2 teachers who are one teacher to 85 students, and that's every day that they see. My numbers, I think, are 34, I think one is 58. So that would cover us here. At the high school, it's 1 to 76. And so we're very high. There is no specific ratio according to MDE. What they suggest is at the elementary, 1 to 45 and 1 to 30 at the high school. The only other school that I received information from is in St. James. They have comparable numbers to us. The other schools are typically 1 to 40. There is like 1 to 50. And so we have a lot of students.
So with that, how many kids are you seeing at a time right with you? And
Okay.
for how long?
Yes, so at the elementary, our program, and just to let you all know, this is all put in our program model on our website, the Language Instruction Educational Plan. And so that is all stated out what we do specifically for our school as well. And so at the elementary, they are half-hour blocks, and we do a pull-out model, meaning we walk to the classroom, we take the students with us. Early learners, the ECSE, is only an indirect, so we do not take them out of their classroom. So K through 6, we have groups of, I think our smallest group is 7 up to 13 at one time. And then at the high school, they have class periods of 48 minutes, and I believe their smallest class size is 8 or 10, I'm not specific on the numbers, up to 26 in a class. And so,
So, speaking to her on our website, if you go to district multilingual learners, which is up here, district info, multilingual learners, you can see the entrance exit flow chart to see how students enter and exit, as well as that language instruction plan that she referred to in both English and Spanish. So, if you want to know where to look it up, there you go.
Are we providing our information to the other languages that are spoken in our community right now? Or in our-
Can I answer that? I should ask permission first. So Tanya, yes. And so when our families come into either school building, we actually have a sign that asks their preferred language, and there is maybe 20 to 25 languages. And currently in our school, we have English, Spanish, Haitian Creole are the dominant languages. And so a parent can come and point to what their preferred spoken language is. And so to register their students, I believe that we have all the paperwork in those 3 languages for our families. And we even have the home language services, which is what deems how to enter and exit our students as well. So the majority of our paperwork is in our school done in the 3 languages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mitchell, if you don't mind, you were working on some resources for offices to help with translating as well.
Great.
Could you share a little?
Yes, we have some phones and tablets that we're able to make phone calls with to parents if somebody can't translate. And we use the Gemini app, which does a full conversation language translation through AI. And you can pick any language pretty much. So those are the ones we have right now. So we're working on it. Plus we have a service called Languagers that there's just about any language you can think of that's on there. We make a phone call to them, and then there's a live person that we can communicate with to do the translation. That one is spendy, but we use it when we need to. So, yeah.
Question?
Well, I was gonna say, I used the translation service for conferences this first time, these fall conferences, and it was phenomenal. Our school staff had it set up so that each secondary teacher for these students, we all kind of like lined up and we were in line just to cut down on the downtime but it worked phenomenal for our families that are not English or Spanish.
Good.
Any other questions? It's great to have a question.
So we're just discussing this now and you'll come back after you get more information for us to.
Yeah, cause we haven't
Hiring.
formulated a recommendation yet, but I still thought it was important to bring the information so that you're aware that we have these high numbers and that there's these needs here. And so I'd asked the MLL department for their input, and after visiting with them, felt like just providing the information was the right amount.
It's difficult to find people that are professionals in that area, so that's probably the toughest part.
Yes.
Are you interested?
I'm not that multilingual. I can name objects, that's it. I would think not effective.
There seems to be a need there, justify it. I'm not crazy about adding additional staff, of course, but
And I understand
put
that.
a dollar amount on it too.
Well, it not only affects how they live and work in our community, but if we want to get down to brass tacks, if we get them to read and write correctly, our MCAs should go up. I mean, that's just,
Well, that
one
gap
should follow the
might-
other.
And an important thing to know with that is a lot of our Spanish-speaking families are from other countries, because they're not all from other countries, but not all of their families are proficient in reading in their native language. And those who are proficient in reading in their native language learn to read English quicker, because they already have that skill. So some of our families have that difficulty overcome where there's maybe a lack of literacy.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Gosh, I have a question and it is somebody that doesn't speak, but they have sent their kids walking. How many announcements do we send out? Cause I got like 5 and they didn't get one. They thought school was, school was canceled. I know that's a little off, but they're not English speakers, so, they have their kids start
What
walking.
language?
I'm not sure.
We just send all the messages out in multiple languages,
multiple
Parents Board
languages.
takes care of that.
And you're getting
So as long as they have their phone number registered with us, they should have gotten it.
because there's students walk for some reason, and I don't know why, but, I've seen them early walking, and they just.
So I should just mention that's another thing that we have for translation. And all messages are sent in the native language automatically to the parent.
Okay.
And then the teachers can communicate with the students using chat, and it automatically translates for them too.
Wonderful, that'd be great. Get that off for them before they start walking, because they're walking earlier than what they're getting.
We just need to know who they are, and they just need to register,
Okay.
make sure the phone number is correct.
The text to voice doesn't translate to Haitian Creole, but text to text or emails and stuff, because it doesn't really have that capacity. But it does translate in the other ways.
Another job for you. Next one, advertising for the sale of that piece of property in Birchdale Township.
So I guess I learned a little bit more.
It is in Gray Eagle, by the way.
I guess you don't have to advertise for sale per se. I do have a resolution I drafted in Land Trust, Cougar here in town. Danny has it. It's, or is it in the board packet?
No, you told me not to.
Okay.
I have one draft.
We could just hand that around. Cause I had to work on this, cause I didn't have an example of it. But what it does is, the resolution is just to authorize basically negotiating, cause you would still need a purchase agreement. But it's for this parcel of land identified there,
I had a patron who owns the land around it originally reach out. They are willing to do like a purchase agreement and a different paperwork. They wanna offer the market value for it, which if they're willing to do the legal legwork, one of the people I spoke to is that's a fair deal. However, you guys as a board have to decide, do you want to put an ad out in the paper saying that we're taking proposals for this? The sale of property is not governed by the bid law, so it's a little different. You guys might know the expectations of the public to a degree. Again, it's, purchase agreement will still have to be drawn up and brought back for approval. It's just like this isn't.
You're still selling property.
Yeah, so.
Was that part of the school over there, or is it away
It
from
was
the school,
a
like
country school there that was abandoned.
And it was not deeded property. I
Right.
spent an hour on the phone with the guy.
And Todd County didn't find it till about 10 years ago. We didn't pay it for the first 20-some years I worked here, and then all of a sudden they found it.
And if he wouldn't have looked back, he just bought this property, and if he wouldn't have looked back to the 60s, he goes, sits down with coffee and goes through the deed from when the deed was created. He called me the day, or sent me a text, and I spent over an hour on the phone. Cause I understand sections and quarter sections and quarters and all that garbage. It's, my opinion is, it's a really good deal for us.
That's what I would say too.
Where is this property?
Out by Brad McDermott's.
Across the road from Brad McDermott, right at the corner where the township road goes to the north.
I was gonna say, isn't there a road there and a turkey, or?
Part of it is in the road,
Okay.
part of it's in the, and most of it's in the swamp.
Yeah. It's a bias.
Cause you can put a kayak there.
Tom, how much is it? How many acres are?
It's 1 acre.
Oh, just 1 acre?
Yep.
Landlocked, 1 acre, 2 or?
Oh, it's not landlocked, it
Oh,
comes
it's on road, okay.
Plus we pay a tax on it every year.
We're paying taxes on it as a school district, so we're gonna collect the taxes instead of paying the taxes.
Yeah.
And he's gonna pay assessed value on it, to me is,
What's it worth, nothing?
to me it's, the assessed value is an acre.
Okay.
And,
I think he's doing all the
and
surveying and everything.
he'll do everything for it,
Yep.
pay for the whole thing.
Did he verify that he was paying tax? Because that's not what he had told us.
That's what he told me,
That's what I heard.
that he'd pay for it.
Get that right.
Well, yes, he would pay for everything, however, he was not on board with the 5,000.
That's what he told me on the phone.
Okay. Well, maybe he
If
changed
he
his
pay
mind.
assessed value. Hey, if he pays close to that,
Yeah.
to me, it's not worth half that, so.
Schools have outdoor
And that's all that he told
spaces,
us he was
you
willing
know.
to get when he came originally
Like,
to
we have a
us, so
forester
I really don't
and
know.
take kids too.
Well, if he pay half that, to me, we're farther ahead.
That's where I come from, and that's what I.
Right, I agree, I just didn't know if he changed his mind.
There, I don't think.
He told me assessed value the day I talked to him,
No, thank you, I don't think so, I'm pretty sure that I can invest it for what it's worth.
and
Just move forward with
because
that.
I was like, this is outrageous. He's explaining to me, I'm like, I don't know why we just don't sell it to you and get it over with.
I guess if you're willing to pass a resolution, what the resolution does is allow me to negotiate the property.
Here you go if you want some good
The
reading.
chair and the clerk can sign on paperwork if necessary.
That's
Is
the
that
part,
good with everybody?
that goes with this.
Do we have to have a motion on it?
Yes,
Just send it back down.
Yeah, you have to pass a resolution, is my understanding.
but I moved to proceed with the sale of this property.
I will second that.
Resolution authorizing the sale of surplus real property.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to let Daniel negotiate money on this and to get the job done.
I take these things out.
Any discussion? Any discussion?
The one again. This is the one.
Buildings and grounds and.
Yes.
I think he can handle that.
He's with Mr. Kruger, and Kruger has done all the property sales before. When I was chair with Mr. Kringen, I had to go to his office and negotiate whatever property we were selling. So I think Kruger is very familiar with our stuff, yeah. So, again, any questions or further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Did we do that yet? No, yes we did. Did we do the motion for the polling places?
No.
We did not.
Okay, we're back to that one. I thought we did it, maybe I read it.
No, we added it.
Okay. Okay, then we need to just talk about this resolution for the polling places. That's if we happen to require a special election, then we could combine the polling places into one spot instead of going to all the other different polling places that we have. Correct?
Yep, and we do it
I can show you.
because if there was a reason that come up later, we can't go back and have a vote later, so we have to do it now.
I motion to approve the resolution combining polling places.
I will second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Any more questions or discussion? Any more questions and discussion on combined polling places? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries there. All right. Is that? Now we are going to go into a closed session, I believe. Superintendent midterm evaluation, we're gonna close the session pursuant to the Minnesota statute 113D.05. So if you folks wanna hit hallway for a little bit while we do this thing, we'll bring it back into